Hi guys, it's Sam from Homeschool Mom here, and I just wanted to take a few minutes tonight to kind of go over, I guess, some more organizational tips or things I use necessarily or not necessarily so much as far as curriculum or the actual part of schooling my children, but really of keeping myself together in order to homeschool my children. So primarily, the one thing I'm sure as a homeschool mom you can all relate with is this immense task of juggling it all. There is so much as a mom we're already not necessarily expected to, but that falls on our shoulders to kind of just keep things running in life. And when you add the enormous responsibility and joy, but mostly responsibility of schooling your children full time to that, it tends to be a little overwhelming. We're all only given 24 hours in a day, and well, for some of us, less than others, but the majority of that is spent in sleep, or not the majority, but a large portion of it. So right off the bat, you're missing a huge chunk of your day due to sleep, which you obviously need to function. So we're given a very limited amount of time to get a lot of things done. And while homeschooling is a huge part of our lives, and rightfully so, we're also moms, and we still need to get things done and still mother our children in addition to educating them. And what I find for myself personally is that being a hot mess, something always is left off the list. Something's always not getting done. Now, sometimes that might be, housework, which I'm a notoriously, cluttered person. I just always have been. And, there's piles of mail in my house. Whatever. It's housekeeping has never been my strong suit. Probably never will be. But once I started homeschooling, I had even less time to stay on top of those things. It might be your personal life. It might be your relationships with your friends. It might be being able to go out and see friends that you don't normally see. It might be your health care, or you're not your health care, but your physical fitness, staying on task with your workouts or your diet, even your personal pursuits, your personal pleasures, reading, or whatever it is that you do that makes you tick. I have a friend that does needlepoint, and I think it's beautiful, but it's time consuming. So that falls off the list. So no matter what, there's only so much you can get done. So one of my biggest struggles in all of this was finding a way to be as efficient as possible and maximize my time as much as possible in everything that I do. And there's a lot. I'm homeschooling, I'm working, I'm also trying to simultaneously train for a Spartan race, which means working out. I'm trying to, lose weight, aren't we all? Like, that's always a common, I just wish I could lose a couple pounds. Maybe not. Maybe you're blessed and you don't have to. But for me, it's a struggle. So I was constantly looking for ways to make it all work. And I just want to share one tip. I'm going to keep this video really short because I'm sure I'm going to do multiple videos about little tips and tricks I find that kind of help me be less of a hot mess, and hopefully they help you too. But also help me be a better mom, a better wife, a better employee, a better homeschool mom. Just little tips and tricks I find that have worked for me. And some were passed down to me from other people, and I'm now sharing them on YouTube in the hopes that they help you too. So the one thing I want to touch upon tonight is a beautiful, so simple, idea that my dear friend Diana shared with me, and it was in the new stages of when I was homeschooling. And I met her at a playgroup, and instantly clicked with her, and she's been an enormous resource to me from the get-go. But in just a casual conversation about homeschooling and all the different things involved with it, she casually mentioned something that she had done with her family, and I decided to incorporate it into our life, and it has been one of the smallest but biggest helps, or smallest ideas but biggest helps in my homeschool journey. And what she explained to me was something called Stewardship Day. Now, it's along the premise of, and it probably has a religious, I guess, undertone to it. So, but if you're secular, please call it something else. Call it something else if you're not comfortable with the idea of stewardship. But stewardship is the idea that you are called to be a steward, to the things you own, or to the things you possess, to the things in your life that you are responsible for caring for. And for me, one of the biggest things, as mentioned, that I struggle with is housework. And as awesome as I try to be as a homeschool mom, there's still laundry, there's still dishes that, no matter how many times you do them, miraculously reappear. And I was struggling to stay on top of that. So this idea of Stewardship Day, and I don't know how often she did it, but she mentioned that she does it occasionally. I actually decided to do it weekly. And the reason for this was twofold. One, it gave me a specific day each week that I knew would be devoted to being a steward of, or taking care of my home exclusively. Now, I do things throughout the week, obviously, because they need to get done. If I see dishes need to be done, I'll do them, whatever. But one day a week, it used to be Mondays, now it's Tuesdays. One day a week, I know I can focus solely on the things that need to be done in my home to keep it running efficiently. I get my grocery shopping done that day. I do massive amounts of laundry that day. I will organize things that day. But it's a relief to me in the back of my head when things start to get overwhelming, like, oh, okay, Monday's coming. I can put it on Monday's to-do list, and I can get to it then. And overarchingly, it has been huge in keeping my house on track, as well as it ever will be. So we decided to do it weekly, and to some of you that may seem like a little bit of an overkill, because obviously that's one day that means I'm not schooling. So my school week gets shortened down to 4 days. Now, here's why I don't have a problem with that. 2 reasons. One, I homeschool year round. I've mentioned that a couple times, but once the decision was made to homeschool year round, I bought myself a nice little chunk of time to make sure that my kids were getting the recommended amount of schooling. In our area, it's 180 days of schooling, and that's what the typical public school year runs, including holidays, including breaks, etc. So 180 days was kind of in the back of my head. If I could get 180 days of straight schooling in, I was doing okay. I think when I ended this last year and moved into this year at the end of August 31st was our last / first day of the new year. I had something like 197 days of actual schooling, including sick days, including vacations, including stewardship days. So on a 4-day school week with minor breaks throughout the year, a nice chunk of time off for Christmas, just because we can days, which is another thing I'll mention later that I borrowed from someone off the internet, can't remember who, but that was another thing I'll share. I still managed to get 197 days of actual schooling in with my children, kept my sanity, kept my husband happy because he could come home to a relatively clean house after working, insane hours. and also keep my household running smoothly. And the second reason was because I discovered I can actually involve my children. And while, yes, again, I'm going to come back to the fact that my responsibility as a homeschooling parent is huge, my primary responsibility is as a mother and to teach my children how to be efficient, successful, hopefully functioning adults when they're older. So on stewardship days was my opportunity to incorporate those life skills that maybe, well, definitely when I was a working mother, kind of fell by the wayside. I was so intent on just getting it done because I felt like I had less time, that I would just do it myself. And I missed valuable opportunities to teach my young ones how to do these chores. And it's not gender specific. You know, my son can do a better load of laundry than my daughter. You know, he just happens to love doing laundry with mom. This is my chance to teach them how to, you know, how to clean, obviously, yes, how to do dishes, how to run a home. And as an adult, when they're on their own, or if they get married, or if they're partnered up or whatever, they can contribute to their home. And every week it's something different. I will include them on whatever chore it is that I happen to be doing. So it's twofold. They're getting a life skills 101 course weekly. And I'm carving out time for myself to get things done and get them done in an efficient way, where I know that they're going to get done on a weekly basis regardless of what's going on in our homeschool or my professional life or whatever it may be. So this is just a tip that worked for me. It may or may not work for you. Again, everybody's schedule is different. But again, I really have to thank my friend Diana for this beautiful idea. I left the name Stewardship Day because whether you're secular or you're not, we are all, you know, stewards of the things we own. And I'm fortunate enough to be blessed with a beautiful home, but, you know, my responsibility is to upkeep that home and also to upkeep my children and in learning how to take care of where they live. And again, I'm a hot mess. It is not perfect. You know, my children are still learning how to do them. More often than not, I will, you know, take the easy way out and do it for them sometimes. But I always have that in the back of my head that, you know, Stewardship Day, you know, what can I teach them today? Like, is it going to be scrubbing toilets? Is it going to be, you know, mopping a floor? How am I going to teach these kiddos how to one day run their own home, you know, and hopefully one day when they look back on all of this and they remember their childhood, it won't be mom running around frantically freaking out because the house is a mess. It'll be those moments where we're doing them side by side and they're learning. So every time they go to do a load of laundry, you know, they remember mom kind of like, oh, you know, this is what you do. So for me, that was a really, really special addition to my homeschool. It didn't cost me any time. Like I said, I kind of just threw it in there as the, you know, Home Ec 101 class. Don't feel guilty about missing a day of school. They ended up getting their day. If you're not year-round homeschoolers and you can't swing a 4-day work week, customize it to yourself, you know, that's fine. But for my sanity and just to try to keep one more ball up in the air without feeling like I was losing my mind, just giving myself that one day per week to just kind of throw everything at and know that it would get done. Stewardship days were phenomenal. So that's my little one pearl of wisdom for today. Let me know if it works for you. Let me know, you know, your thoughts on it, any concerns you may have about it. I'm curious to discuss it. If you have anything you'd like to add, please put it in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a like. Please subscribe to my channel for more crazy random tips. And as always, it's great talking to you guys and kind of sharing all of these weird little things that have somehow added up into a somewhat efficient way of running my homeschool. That's all for tonight. Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Thanks for coming to Hot Mess Homeschool Mom.